If you had to choose one hunting cartridge to use for the rest of your life, what would you pick? Well, recently, Jason Hornady himself was asked that very question on the Hornady podcast. His answer? This, the 6.5 PRC with the 143 grain ELDX bullet. Learn why we also think the 6.5 PRC is a great all-around hunting caliber. Stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about the 6.5 PRC and some of the features of this cartridge that has made it increasingly popular for hunters. So the 6.5 PRC, or Precision Rifle Cartridge as the acronym stands for, was released in 2018 and is the smallest caliber of the three available in the PRC lineup. So the 6.5 PRC is oftentimes compared to the 6.5 Creedmoor, which both of those cartridges and calibers use the .264 inch bullet. In this case, this is a 143 grain ELDX Precision Hunter cartridge I'm holding here. The main difference between the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 6.5 PRC is there's a little bit more case capacity on the PRC, which allows them to fit a little bit more powder. That translates to increased muzzle velocity and increased energy and impact downrange, which is why it's a popular cartridge choice for hunters. So as we move forward, we're going to look at this rifle here. This is a Browning X-Bolt in 6.5 PRC, obviously. This is the exact same rifle that my son Lee and I used this past fall to take our bucks here in Nebraska. Yes. So this Browning 6.5 PRC, it's got a nice bronze Cerakote finish on it. This is a 24-inch barrel. It does have a 2-inch muzzle brake on there that can be taken off, and it's threaded for a suppressor, so that's kind of a nice feature of that there. The next thing we're going to look at is the scope that we chose to top this particular Browning X-Bolt with. We went with the Leupold VX3 HD, which is a 4.5 by 14 power scope. It's got a 40mm objective lens on it. But the real beauty with the Leupold scope setup is their CDS, or custom dial system. And what that allows us to do is we can get this rifle sighted in this case, when this came in and we got the scope all set and mounted, we zeroed this rifle at 100 yards. And then on Leupold's site, we got a free custom dial turret with this. So to do that, you get on their website, you have to put in some information about your rifle and your cartridge load and some other variables, and then they'll send you a custom dial based on your rifle and cartridge and environmental variables. So for us, we're using Hornady's Precision Hunter 143 grain ELDX for our ammunition of choice on this. Now when you submit the information online, you're going to put in some numbers from the back of the box. So like it's going to ask for the ballistic coefficient, which is listed right on here. And from the factory, this ammunition is rated at 2,960 feet per second. However, when we did this, to get the most accurate CDS dial possible, your best bet is to put a chronograph on this and get some readings so you know what your actual muzzle velocity is for your rifle and your barrel length. So for us, when we put all those variables in, I'll kind of show you what the CDS looks like on here. So if you look at the top of that turret that came back, here's all the information we submitted online. So we can see that it was a 6.5 PRC, 143 grain Hornady ELDX. And when we did the average on our chronograph over 4 or 5 shots, we averaged 2,887 feet per second. So a little bit less than what was advertised on the box, but not much. And since elevation and air temperature can have a big impact on ballistics, they also ask you to put in what elevation you want your ballistics calculated for. So for us, most of our hunting with this rifle is done here in south central Nebraska. So I kind of took an average elevation of a couple different spots we hunt and put in 2,000 feet. And then average air temperature for most of the time we'll be hunting. So a lot of it's in the fall with deer hunting, some of it is with coyote hunting and things. I just put in 50 degrees Fahrenheit for that. And then this scope has 1/4 inch MOA increments on it. So once this custom turret comes in, we basically just cap this back right onto the scope. And right now it's locked into that 0 position, which you see is the number is 1, meaning it's zeroed at 100 yards. So to change it, all we gotta do is push in this button and that kind of releases the lock, and then we can turn it counterclockwise. And there we just landed on 2. So if we were gonna make a 200-yard shot, that's what we would dial it to. You can go to, 2.5 would be 250 yards, 3 for 300, etc. So on this one, we have quite a bit of adjustment here, and we can rotate this all the way up to just over 7. So about 725 yards is our maximum range on that CDS scope turret there. So the nice thing is we've got a nice Browning X-Bolt rifle. That Leupold CDS turret on the scope allows us to take, these newer modern cartridges like this that, are those long, slim bullets with a high ballistic coefficient that are incredibly accurate for those long-range shots. And with that dialed in specifically for our rifle and our cartridge, we can effectively shoot at those ranges with good confidence that we're going to make a solid shot. So as we look at the 6.5 PRC overall, obviously it gets compared to the 6.5 Creedmoor. A lot of times the 6.5 PRC is considered the magnum version of the 6.5 Creedmoor just because of that increased muzzle velocity and impact energy. So again, when you look at it as a 0.264-inch imperial measurement on the bullet, a lot of times it's compared to a more traditional caliber like the 270, so it's a very similar size bullet. So obviously, a 270 would be just a little bit bigger around on diameter, but profile-wise, most of those 270 cartridges aren't a long stretched out cartridge like this, like these newer PRC cartridges are. So when we look at ballistically the 6.5 PRC compared to say that 270 caliber, inside of 400 yards, they're very comparable. And in some cases, the 270 actually has a little bit more impact energy than the 6.5 PRC. But once we step beyond that 400 yard threshold, that's where these high ballistic coefficient bullets really shine. So the 6.5 PRC is gonna outperform the 270 from 400 yards out. A lot of the reason it performs better at those longer ranges has to do with the barrel twist. So on this Browning X-Bolt in 6.5 PRC, this is a 1 7-inch twist barrel. When we compare that to a 270, most of those were a 1 10-inch twist barrel. And what that means is, essentially on this rifle, for every 7 inches going down the barrel, that bullet's gonna take 1 full rotation. So on this barrel versus a 270, it's gonna spin that bullet faster. And what that increased bullet rotation means is that your bullet is gonna be much more stable as it traverses downrange. And that increased bullet stability is gonna give us more accuracy. And we're getting more accuracy out of it because that increased stability is making it less susceptible to wind drift. It's not gonna have as much bullet drop as say the 270 is. And the way this cartridge is built, we're actually gonna have more impact energy than the 270 at the same range outside of 400 yards there. So in summary, that's why the 6.5 PRC has become a really popular hunting caliber. It does have a little bit more recoil than say the 6.5 Creedmoor. It actually has a comparable recoil or a little bit more recoil than like a 308 Winchester. But with the muzzle brake on there, or if you're gonna shoot it with a suppressor and a good butt pad on this rifle, it's no problem to have younger shooters shooting this. And overall, it's just a great all-around hunting caliber. It works great for most North American mammals. Obviously, we use this primarily for deer hunting, but it's a great rifle for antelope. A lot of people have had success with the 6.5 PRC, even hunting elk. Some folks would argue that the 6.5 PRC may not be quite enough for elk hunting, but lots of people have shot elk with the 6.5 PRC and even the 6.5 Creedmoor for that matter. Because as we know, shot placement is the most important factor when harvesting an animal. And if you feel comfortable shooting the 6.5 PRC and can make a highly accurate shot on a big game animal like that, that's the most important factor. The rifle itself is more than capable of shooting an animal that size. So the 6.5 PRC, great all-around hunting caliber. If you're looking for something new for a hunting rifle, highly suggest you take a look at it.